to the Rick Smith Show. Now, here is Rick Smith.
So evidently the MyPillow guy getting sued. No longer going to be his pillow. It's probably going to be Dominion's pillow by the time they're all done in this. He's being sued for $1.3 billion with a B. $1.3 billion for defamation. You add that up with the $1.3 billion that they're suing Rudy Giuliani for and the $1.3 billion that they're suing Sidney Powell for. And I'm like, wow. Where did they pull 1.3 number from? And then I hope they don't actually think they're going to get paid. But it'll be fun to watch. I cannot wait. It will be fun to watch. And here to share some thoughts on, well, the formerly MyPillow guy and all the stuff that happened today. I've asked our good friend Dr. Allison Gill to come talk with us. Dr. Gill is the host of the Mueller She Wrote podcast, also the Daily Beans, all kinds of great stuff that we could get out. Allison, thanks for taking time for us.
Hey, thank you. It's good to see your face, Rick.
Good to see you as well again. So what do you think? The MyPillow guy, you're going to have to find some change in the cushions.
He is in trouble, you saw the way that Fox and Newsmax sort of reacted to the threats. They cowered quite quickly. I feel like Lindell and Sidney Powell and Rudy Giuliani are going to be a little more defiant. I don't think they'll get 1.3 billion out of each of them, but they apparently should be able to get their additional security covered because they have had multiple death threats to themselves and their families, and probably some damages to their business. But 1.3, I think, is a little high, a little reaching for the stars.
No, look, if you're going to go, you go big. Make it eye-popping, and that's what it is. I'm still waiting for them to go after others. I can't wait for the discovery. Look, I'm not a lawyer, but I can't wait for the news to break on all of the discovery that comes out.
Mm-hmm, right, because people like the MyPillow guy, and I know Lynn Wood is part of this group too. They have mountains of evidence, of evidence, and they have none. Yep. And if they have any, and if there's any exculpatory evidence on the other side, it will all come out in discovery.
Now, let's talk the other big news today. The Supreme Court ruled that Cy Vance and the folks there in Manhattan get to see the tax returns. I guess my first question, why the hell is it taking so long to get to see these tax returns? We've been talking about these since 2015.
Yeah, well, this particular set of tax returns comes from the accounting firm, Mazars USA. As you know, that went up to the Supreme Court, all the way to the Supreme Court one time, with the argument being that he has absolute immunity from criminal prosecution. The Supreme Court said, no, but I'll give you a second chance to come up with a better reason. Kicked it all the way back down to the district court, came all the way back up to the Supreme Court in October of last year. And Cy Vance made a deal. He said, all right, you know what? I won't, you can have the stay on having this subpoena, handing over the stuff in exchange for an expedited schedule, which he got. They got all the briefings in 4 days or 6 days, some inordinately short amount of time. But then they sat on it until today. And I don't know if that was because, John Roberts didn't want to interfere in an election or anything like that. That supposedly could be one of the main reasons that we've waited until today to finally get this ruling. But here it is. And now Mazars has to hand over the goods. But I don't think that it's actually Trump's tax returns in this particular case that Cy Vance is after.
So what do you think he's after? Because I got to tell you, I don't know that there's anything in these tax returns that were put together by a company that doesn't want themselves to go to jail or be sued. So I've never said there was going to be a smoking gun in there. But you got Michael Cohen who's saying he better look for a fitted jumpsuit. He thinks Trump's going to jail and doing actual jail time. I don't believe that. I would love to see it. Still don't believe it. What do you think?
Well, if you look at the subpoena, it doesn't only call for the tax returns. It calls for related schedules, in draft, as filed, and amended tax returns, and then all statements of financial condition, annual statements, periodic financial reports. I think that what Cy Vance waited this long to get was a document that says from Trump's accountants to the Trump organization saying, we don't think it's legal for you to, for example, take the easement deduction on Seven Springs Estates. We don't think it's legal for you to do this. We don't think it's legal for you to do that. If you can get that document that shows intent, that Trump actually knew that he was breaking the law when he was that he was committing tax fraud, because Trump otherwise could say, I'm the CEO, I don't get involved at the lower levels, my tax accountant said it was fine. That's actually kind of a defense that works a lot of the time. But if you have a document from his accountant to that organization saying, we recommend against this because it violates these particular codes of the IRS tax law, you've got a smoking gun.
So that's where you see it is. As, you know, you think they told him don't do this, he did it anyway, and that's what's going to get him in trouble. He could be the next Leona Helmsley.
Because Vance already has the tax returns. He definitely has the New York State tax returns. He's been getting documents from Deutsche Bank for over a year now. And then, of course, the New York Times came out with their expose on having gotten a hold of Trump's tax returns. He's got the tax returns. That's not, if it was the tax returns he needed, he would have taken a hike on that case a long time ago. He wouldn't have stuck it out to the bitter end. There's something in those documents. Now, I have no proof of this other than the reporting that I just told you. But I think that there's something else in there that goes toward intent.
No, there has to be something more than just, you know, because everyone's saying, oh, you know, he's doing business in Russia. I go, yeah, but that's not illegal. Maybe Iran, if he had some business deal, he was building Trump Iran. I go, okay, that could be problematic. But I just don't see anything being outwardly, you know, the smoking gun in a tax return. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. And personally, I'm still hopeful. I'm hopeful that there's some jail time coming. I just don't believe it's going to happen.
Yeah, well, I mean, once you get past the fact that even if he's found guilty and convicted, the sentence could be what we saw come out with the sentence for Cohen or Papadopoulos or Manafort, just a very small, short sort of sentence.
Yeah, get a weekend.
We don't know if he's pardoned himself. Yeah, and stuck it into his pocket.
Yeah, or, you know, I don't know if you saw the big news out of Atlantic City last week. They imploded one of the casinos. I wanted to be there. I wanted to be the guy who got to do the plunger. In fact, they did a drawing, and some lucky person won the ability to do the plunge.
Yeah, I actually took that video and put the audio from the end of Fight Club over it and posted it on Twitter. I thought it would get more likes than it did. I happen to really think that was fantastic. But what was really amazing is after that thing hit the ground, all the people cheering and clapping and having a good time. It was a very party atmosphere after that plunger went down.
It's a good celebration. It's like a renewal, if you will. You know, it should be symptomatic for the whole country. Let's move to the big news today. Merrick Garland, before the Senate committee on the Justice Committee, the Judicial Committee, I think. Mm-hmm. I had it. I forgot it. He said something today that I think is pretty important. He says that he agrees that we're facing more dangerous period than we faced after Oklahoma City. I lived through that period. I knew a bunch of right-wing militia types. I was really worried for our country at that point. He's saying that it's probably worse than that.
Yeah, and Biden has actually assembled a commission to look into domestic violent extremism and the impact that it has on the country so that hopefully policy can be made going forward. He actually put Josh Geltzer in charge of that committee, who's just one of the brightest minds of our time. He's been on our show a few times on the Daily Beans. And so he's really serious about this, and so is Merrick Garland. Merrick Garland said his top priority is investigating the white supremacist oath keepers and the violent extremists that participated in the siege on our Capitol on January 6th, the seat of democracy. So I'm very excited about the prospect of Merrick Garland being confirmed, and I'm certain he will be.
No, I think he will be as well. I think he'll actually get some Republican votes. I think so too. That's one of those things where I go, I wouldn't be surprised if he got, I'm going to go out on a limb, 65 votes.
Yeah, I think 70 plus in the full Senate, and even just in this committee, I think I would bet money that Lindsey Graham will vote to confirm to move his confirmation forward, and I think John Cornyn will also vote to move his confirmation forward, just based on the sort of the way that their questioning went today.
So does Ted Cruz vote for him? After that, what was that today with Ted Cruz?
Oh, well, first of all, I mean, there was a lot today with Ted Cruz, but he got really upset with Merrick Garland because Merrick Garland would refuse to commit to not fire Durham, who was appointed special counsel to look into the origins or the oranges of the Russia investigation, if you will. And Merrick Garland wouldn't commit to it. He said, no, I don't know the facts in that investigation. I don't know what's going on. I can't make that commitment, although I don't see a problem with that investigation going forward. And I'm not going to tell Joe Biden what to do either way, and he's not going to tell me what to do either way. I'm committed to an independent Department of Justice, which I think is the number one key thing here, that and the racial equity issues that he's going to be tackling in the Civil Rights Division.
Right. Now, for me, he's like kind of the guy you wanted on the Supreme Court, because there were some things about him I wasn't thrilled about. He's a dead centrist, or at least he appears to be in this day of extremism, and I think that came out today.
Yeah, I think it did too, although I was really a little bit taken aback by his answer about the death penalty. When asked about the death penalty, I believe it was Tom Cotton who asked him about it, and he said because he did support it for McVeigh, right, in the Oklahoma City bombing.
Right.
But he says, lots has happened in the last 20 years. And now I am more hesitant, and I haven't decided whether I'm going to tell Biden I think he should put a moratorium on all the death penalty or not. But if Joe Biden decides to do that, then I'm the top cop. That's the law that I have to enforce, and I'm an independent Justice Department. So be it. But he's changed his mind on the death penalty since McVeigh.
Yeah, I mean, I would have let McVeigh rot in prison. I wouldn't have. I'm against the death penalty because my view is too many poor people get it and not enough rich people. If we were doing rich people, you might convince me. That doesn't happen. And the other thing is, and this is where I'm cruel. I think it's the easy way out. I think you should spend the next however many years locked in a box, and never seeing freedom or tasting freedom again.
Right, and he also wants the life in prison without the concept of parole to not be the bottom line standard. Merrick Garland wants the individual judges and juries to be able to make that determination whether there's no opportunity for parole. So interesting, very interesting discussion today. And I thought he hit all the points that needed to be hit. And I think he did really, really well in the face of some rather ignorant questions.
Well, which one do you think was the most ignorant?
I think when Ted Cruz decided to roll up the Steele dossier in
Ted
his
Cruz.
Assumption question, where he said, so, you think basically that, that there was a deep state and that the Russia investigation was opened because of what was in the Steele dossier, which is all Russian disinformation. That assumes like 9 wrong things. But Merrick Garland took the question and said, look, I'm an independent Justice Department. I go after criminals and crimes, and that's how it goes. And if, yes, we need to look at the FISA court and make sure that that's operating properly. Like, your question is, it's political and prejudicial and ridiculous. And the answer is still the same. I would be the Attorney General, equal justice under the law, apply the laws correctly and equally with equitable application. The end. Like, none of your weird Steele dossier stuff makes a difference to me in my head, basically.
No, and the Cruz bit, got me because, he goes and he says, well, during the Obama years, we weaponized the Office of Attorney General. I'm going, did we? Did you forget Billy Barr? Yeah, did you forget that?
When he said, would you call Joe Biden would you be his wingman? And I really wanted Merrick Garland to say something like, oh, not like Roy Cohn or anything, but, I mean, it was just absolutely like, I think Ted Cruz may have been in Cancun for the last 3 years.
I'm okay with him going and staying. I wish he would have stayed.
The entire Bill Barr situation.
Now, I did find it interesting that Garland said that both he and Biden opposed the defund the police stuff. I actually oppose defunding the police as well. In my neighborhood, everyone's got, we support the police signs everywhere. And I do too. I support the police when they're not wrong. And I think that should be the distinction. But the idea of defunding it, I think we should be, as Biden has said, putting more resources into the things that we absolutely need. I just think that's the wrong frame all across the board. You can obviously differ, so go ahead.
Well, the way I understand it, to defund the police is what it means is to take a lot of the militarization of the police and a lot of the money that shouldn't go to the police and put it into resources like mental health support, rehabilitation. I think what some people call defunding the police is really just reforming or reimagining. So I do support that. It's been working in places where it's been pilot tested, where you send out mental health professionals instead of armed officers to certain things, and it frees up the officers. For a very long time, police officers didn't want to be responding to things that didn't require force or cops. And so I think that if we frame it properly, I think most people are on the same page with that.
And that's the important part, the framing part of it. Because I actually do know people who think they've taken the defund to the abolish stage. We should need to get rid of them. And I'm going, the reality is while it may sound like a great idea, politically it's a loser, just like defunding the police politically is a loser. I say we hold them accountable. We give them the resources, because I'm 100% with you. My local little sleepy town doesn't need a freaking tank.
No.
Right there.
No. San Diego didn't need one.
But we've got one. We've got a tank.
Yeah, I remember the tank chase, that very famous tank chase. But yeah, for me, for me personally, that's the same vision there. I didn't feel like I was in any position to tell anyone what to call their movement. I could see it being grabbed onto and glommed onto by the right, and misused and sort of twisted into something that it wasn't, and that's what they did. But I think that was asked and answered.
Yeah. So you think he's going to get through?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think he'll get through, no problem. He'll get out of the Senate Judiciary Committee, no problem. And I think he'll get the floor vote. I think 70 plus.
All right. Well, we will see. I'm hoping so that we can begin the investigations and all those traitors and all the people who invaded our Capitol and defecated on our floor and urinated on desks. I want to see massive perp walks. I want to see large trials, and I want to see lots of people in jumpsuits, led by Donald Trump. That would be fabulous. But yeah. Dr. Gill, I appreciate the time and the thoughts. As always, really fun talking with you.
It's been really great talking to you too, Rick. I appreciate the time.
Thanks so much. You listen to the Rick Show.
Remembering that united we bargain, divided we beg. Rick Smith.